Right now, stop everything. Close your eyes for 1 second and feel this. What if the single greatest muscle you own isn't in your arms, your legs, or your back, but right here, pause, tap temple between your ears? Your mind is a muscle. And just like every champion body you've ever admired, it doesn't grow from wishing, hoping, or protecting it. It grows from one thing only: relentless, uncomfortable, deliberate training. Most people baby their mind like it's made of glass. I'm here to tell you that's the lie, keeping you average. Today, we stop protecting it and we start breaking it open to make it unbreakable. You win. Your mind is a muscle. This isn't poetry or motivation fluff. It's raw, biological reality wrapped in a powerful metaphor that changes everything when you live it. Just like the biceps sitting dormant on your arm right now won't magically grow bigger by wishing for it, your mind doesn't sharpen, expand, or become unbreakable through passive, hoping, scrolling, or occasional bursts of inspiration. Growth demands deliberate, repeated stress applied directly to the tissue. In the gym, you load progressive resistance. 5 pounds today, 10 tomorrow, heavier sets, slower negatives, drop sets, because only that controlled overload tears microscopic fibers so the body rebuilds them thicker and stronger. Your brain operates on the exact same principle through neuroplasticity. Every time you force yourself to sit in deep, uninterrupted focus, when your phone is screaming for attention, you're applying load. Every time you choose to question a limiting belief instead of swallowing it whole, you're creating microtears in old neural pathways. Every time you push through the fog of boredom to read something challenging, solve a problem that frustrates you, or rehearse a difficult conversation in your head until the fear dissolves, you're lifting mental weight. The discomfort you feel in those moments, the restlessness, the doubt, the inner voice whining, this is too hard, let's quit. That's not a signal to stop. That's the burn. That's the exact equivalent of the lactic acid flooding your quads during the last rep. That resistance is the stimulus. Without it, there is no adaptation. Most people never experience real mental hypertrophy because they avoid the burn at all costs. They stay in the warm-up zone of easy thoughts, familiar routines, low-stakes entertainment. They protect their mind from pressure the way someone would baby a sprained wrist, gentle, careful, stagnant. But protection is the enemy of progress. A muscle wrapped in bubble wrap stays small forever. The elite performers you admire didn't get there by accident or genetics alone. They treated cognitive discomfort as their primary training tool. They scheduled it. They chased it. They measured progress by how much heavier the mental load felt yesterday compared to today. So when we say train your mind like a muscle, we mean get intentional about the reps. Decide what skills, emotional resilience, clarity, or toughness you want to build, then load the barbell accordingly. Daily journaling to rewire self-talk, cold mental exposure to fears you normally avoid, deliberate practice on hard subjects, meditation when your brain wants to run, gratitude lists when cynicism feels easier. Track it the way a serious lifter tracks plates on the bar. Celebrate when the weight feels heavier because that means you're not the same person who walked in last week. The mind that once buckled under pressure now handles it with calm power. That is the transformation. That is what happens when you finally stop wishing for a stronger mind and start lifting for it every single day. Every moment of discomfort, doubt, or mental resistance is exactly the weight your mind needs to break through and become unstoppable. Imagine stepping under a barbell loaded with more plates than you've ever touched. Your stomach tightens, legs tremble before you even unrack it. And that voice inside starts negotiating. Drop it, it's too much, you'll look stupid if you fail. Most people see that wave of resistance and back off because it feels like danger. But in the gym, that precise sensation is the green light for progress. It's not a flaw, it's feedback. The shake, the burn, the protest from your body, they're the mechanical signals that overload is happening, fibers are tearing, and supercompensation is coming. Walk away and nothing changes. Push through, and tomorrow you're handling what used to intimidate you. Your mind follows the identical physiology. When doubt crashes in like a tidal wave, who do you think you are? You'll embarrass yourself. This always ends badly. That isn't proof of inadequacy. It's the bar being loaded. Mental resistance is the resistance. The restlessness that makes you want to scroll. Instead of create the knot of anxiety before speaking your truth, the inner critic that amplifies every potential failure. These are not obstacles to bypass. They are the training stimulus itself. Without them, your neural pathways stay smooth, familiar, weak. With them, deliberately met and moved through, those pathways thicken, reroute, and fortify. The difference between ordinary and extraordinary lives isn't the absence of these heavy feelings, it's the interpretation. Average performers treat discomfort as evidence they should stop. Exceptional ones treat it as evidence they're finally training at the right intensity. They don't wait for confidence to arrive so they can act. They act while doubt is at maximum volume, turning each uncomfortable moment into a deliberate rep. Cold approach a stranger when social fear is screaming. That's a heavy set for social courage. Sit with a painful emotion instead of numbing it. That's progressive overload for emotional resilience. Question a core limiting belief when it feels safer to cling. That's tearing down outdated wiring so stronger beliefs can rebuild. Every breakthrough you've ever witnessed in someone else happened because they stopped running from the burn and started chasing it. The entrepreneur kept pitching after 100 rejections, didn't succeed despite the doubt. He succeeded because of what the repeated exposure to doubt did to his mind. The athlete who trained through injury level pain didn't win in spite of suffering. The suffering remodeled their mental architecture into something unbreakable. Discomfort isn't the price of growth, it's the currency. So when resistance arrives, and it will, every single day, don't flinch or bargain. Recognize it instantly. Here comes the weight. Perfect. This is exactly when I need to get stronger. Then grip tighter. Breathe deeper. Take the step anyway. Because the Versi of you waiting on the other side isn't built in comfort zones. It's sculpted rep by rep in the very moments you once wanted to escape. Consistency beats intensity. Daily mental reps, no matter how small, compound into unbreakable confidence and clarity. Picture this. Two people decide to transform their minds. One waits for the perfect storm of motivation, then dives into an all-day deep focus marathon, brutal self-inquiry sessions, or hours of meditation until exhaustion hits, only to crash afterward and go silent for weeks. The other commits to showing up every single day with something tiny but non-negotiable. 5 minutes of single task focus, 1 intentional gratitude entry, 60 seconds of breathing through rising anxiety, rewriting a single self-sabotaging thought. 6 months later, who stands noticeably calmer, sharper, more unshakable under pressure. The daily compounder, not the sporadic warrior. The brain doesn't reward heroic one-offs, it rewards frequency. Neuroplastic change thrives on repetition. Each small action lays down another layer of strengthened wiring. Myelin sheaths thicken around axons used repeatedly. Synapses strengthen through long-term potentiation. Default neural networks gradually shift toward the practice behavior. A single intense session might spike activity and feel profound, but without follow-through it fades like a sugar high. Daily micro-reps, however, create momentum that snowballs. What starts as effortful becomes effortless. The mind that once wandered after 30 seconds now holds focus for hours because the pathway has been walked thousands of times. This is why elite performers in any domain, chess grandmasters, concert pianists, elite traders, don't rely on occasional genius bursts. They drill fundamentals daily, even on off days, because consistency turns competence into instinct. Mental strength follows the same law. Confidence isn't built by conquering Mount Everest once. It's forged by climbing the small hill behind your house every morning. Until the hill feels trivial and your legs remember the rhythm. Doubt loses its grip not after one epic victory over fear, but after hundreds of quiet refusals to let it steer the ship. People underestimate small actions because they lack drama. No applause, no viral post, no instant transformation, yet the math is brutal and beautiful. Improve mental discipline by just 1% each day through tiny reps, and after a year, you're 37 times stronger in that domain. Skip days, chase intensity alone, and the curve barely moves. Show up imperfectly, but relentlessly. Read one challenging paragraph, question one automatic negative, pause before reacting once, and the compound effect quietly rewires everything. The inner voice that used to dominate grows quieter. Clarity sharpens not from rare insights, but from accumulated refusal to indulge distraction. Resilience deepens not from surviving rare crises, but from daily practice of choosing response over reaction. Intensity can accelerate progress when timed right. Occasional heavy mental sets stretch limits, but without the daily baseline, it's unsustainable, leading to burnout or regression. True power emerges when you stop hunting for the magic moment and start owning the ordinary ones. Build the unbreakable mind the same way you build an unbreakable body. One deliberate, repeatable action at a time, every day, trusting that the invisible compounding will deliver results most people will never see coming. When you commit to training your mind like the elite train their bodies, you don't just improve, you transform your entire life and step into a power most people will never touch. Elite athletes don't train casually. They don't show up when they feel like it, skip sessions because life got busy, or settle for good enough. They architect their days around deliberate overload, precise recovery, relentless feedback, and an almost obsessive commitment to marginal gains. Every meal, every sleep cycle, every rep is engineered to push the body one increment closer to peak performance. The result isn't incremental improvement, it's a complete metamorphosis. Physique, speed, endurance, mental fortitude. All elevated to levels that look superhuman from the outside. Apply that same uncompromising standard to your mind and the transformation follows the identical trajectory. You stop treating thoughts as random weather and start treating them as trainable variables. You stop reacting to life and start designing your inner response to it. You install rituals that most people dismiss as unnecessary. Morning visualization that rewires expectation, evening review that extracts lessons from every setback, deliberate exposure to discomfort that desensitizes fear, structured reading that expands perspective, daily practice of emotional regulation that turns triggers into data points instead of explosions. These aren't feel-good habits, they are loading protocols for the most powerful operating system you own. The compound effect is staggering. A mind trained this way doesn't merely cope better, it anticipates, adapts, creates. Decisions become cleaner because clarity is no longer occasional, it's default. Confidence stops being fragile motivation and becomes structural certainty forged through thousands of small wins over doubt. Relationships deepen because you respond from presence rather than projection. Opportunities multiply because of sharpened mind spots, patterns, connections, and possibilities others miss. Setbacks that once derailed you now become fuel because you've trained the muscle to convert adversity into advantage. Most people never cross this threshold. They dabble. They consume inspiration, wit. How application, they protect their ego from the very pressure that would expand it. As a result, they live inside a narrow bandwidth of potential capable of flashes of brilliance, but never sustained mastery. The committed few who treat mental training with the seriousness of Olympic preparation break out of that bandwidth entirely. They don't just get better versions of their old selves. They become unrecognizable in the best way, calm in chaos, decisive under uncertainty, radiant in purpose, unshakable when the world shakes. This level of power isn't reserved for geniuses or the gifted. It's earned through daily discipline applied to the invisible gym between your ears. The moment you decide the mind deserves the same rigor the body gets from champions, you cross an invisible line. Life stops happening to you and starts responding to the force you become